And welcome in, everybody. This is Street News Now. SNN, Six Guys and You. We do this every Thursday, 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. on the West Coast. Make sure that you subscribe and like and share to our YouTube channel. Type in SNN, Street News Now. Be a part of it. Also catch us on Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch. And a hearty boom shakalaka to all of you out there. This is the holiday show, as our fearless leader is definitely on assignment to make his Christmas bright. So we bring in the cohorts, the masters of intellectual chaos, starting with Dr. Ron Ford.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. All of that.
I'm going to leave it right there. I got nothing to say behind that. As someone said about coming behind somebody, yeah, we ain't going to do that today. Also bring in Professor Reggie Miles. Professor, how you doing?
Oh, wonderful. It is a glorious day. It is another day in the land of the limit. I'm so glad to be a part of Street News Now, and I'm just gonna have some fun. And still, I'm still on it. How's your funk in Teleki?
That's why we haven't heard that in a while. That's right.
That's right. That's right.
It's nice. And also got to bring on board, and I will address him as this because I remember the first time I called him this, he was really very excited. So without further ado, Mr. Mike Love.
Hey man, how you doing?
Man, how you doing? Happy holidays to you, bro.
Happy holidays to you and my cohorts in crime. Did I hear a baby crying in the background?
Yes, that's my niece. My whole damn family's over here. So I just one of those things. We just happy holidays and everybody's here. So
I didn't know if there was somebody visiting Ron that he had come up behind and they was crying, or there was a baby.
Oh man, here we go.
I was just checking.
All right.
No,
off to the races already.
Not at my house.
And of course, the one and only Buck Wild. How you doing, Buck?
He just said Ron's got some girl trapped in his basement. Now that was funny. That's the only way she stick around. Ron lock her up in a cage.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That was funny. Mike, good job on that one.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad you pulled your zipper down. Everybody got quiet on that.
Yeah,
one.
Deer in headlights, boy. Deer in headlights.
Right. And as you see, ladies and gentle peoples, it's going to be that type of show tonight. We're just going to just let it all out. Usually, we have some topics on board, but because of the holiday season, we'll just kick back, have you come on board to the comment section and comment whatever's on your mind, and we'll just go free form off the dome and just do what we always do from that perspective. I did suggest, because of the holiday season, to go back and into your cranium and maybe pull out some stories that you're familiar with from your Christmases of past and present, and share with the audience and things of that nature, and some of your traditions that you might have, some things of that nature. So I'm going to let Dr. Ron go first because I don't trust him. So we're going
to sneak up behind you.
Yeah.
Does anybody trust him besides the girl in the cage in the basement?
Hey man, some people like to be put in cages with handcuffs and things of that nature. Put on short Santa Claus dresses, and ask for special spankings.
That look from the professor's priceless right now. As he backs away, like, wait a minute, hold on, wait. Hold on.
I gotta put my glasses on. I can't see the professor. Oh goodness. Okay.
Oh man.
Professor somewhere in Wisconsin right now. He done bagged so far away from the microphone.
All the way to different state.
I just want y'all to know she's here of her own free will.
Yeah, that's what you say. Let's get her on mic and see what she say.
A likely story.
Why you gonna get her on me? Oh, you mean get her on the microphone? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anybody got a rim shot on your podcast?
Yeah. Probably don't. Well, tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la.
And we can tell your big ass is jolly.
Yes, it's first of all, let me say this: I don't even believe in Christmas. Okay, it's not the day that they said it was in the beginning, talking about it was Jesus' birthday. No, it is not. Okay, so
When is
for
Jesus' birthday then?
nobody knows,
Do they
but
not know?
they don't know.
One of the most, if not the most famous person in history, that nobody knows his birthday. That's kind of odd. Or maybe you don't
Google
know.
it. Google it, Buck, and come up with an answer before the end of the show.
I can do that right now, big guy.
There you go. So, seeing as how this is a European commercial holiday that they came up with to make money over and over and over again every year around the same time, I don't generally celebrate this day. Like I usually stay at the crib with a nice bottle of wine and enjoy myself in the spirit of minding my damn business because I ain't trying to be out there in the street, acting a fool, turning up with lamp heads on, and all that old crazy stuff that people do during this time of year underneath the mistletoe and all that old silly stuff, But okay, we got a finger.
Jesus' birthday was on September 11th. He's
Says
a
who?
Virgo. Jesus was a Virgo.
Says
Wow.
who?
It figures.
Where'd
So
you get
said-
that? Yeah, where'd you
says-
get that information?
says who?
Newvision.co.ug, some website, so it must be true. It was
Oh,
on the
okay.
internet.
All right. So anyway,
My
but
thoughts, Professor, definitely.
Although, no, actually, several websites said that he was probably born in September, but,
okay. But anyway,
September 19th, whatever.
okay.
Virgo.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
absolutely a Virgo.
Yeah, 2019,
Should've
right?
figured that. Yeah.
Yeah, 2019, right? So anyway,
BC.
with all of the, spirit of giving and having a good time, I'm cool with, having this show and throwing a question out there to my brothers about some of the good things that we have acquired during this time of year. Now, I'm going to start off by saying one of my favorite movies that I have seen about the Christmas season was the one that they made. I think they call it This Christmas, where Chris Brown and a cast of others. That was an extremely good Christmas movie. All black cast, of course. And it was a very enjoyable movie. So, what was some of your favorite holiday movies from this time of the year? Everybody jump in.
Well, what was the movie that comes on every year around Christmas? It's been
It's a
coming on for
Wonderful
the
Life.
I
last.
mean, all of them, Nick?
Yeah, they have all of them come on.
All
That's
of
No,
them,
the
not.
one
Mike.
that comes on, the one that's been coming on for
Seriously.
50 years.
Peanuts,
You're like, It's a
what?
Wonderful Life.
No.
Okay, not that
Miracle on 31st Street. Or
No,
34th.
No,
not that one. Try again.
Hey man, it's
The
your
one that
movie.
they, every year
Well,
it
Mike,
comes
why don't
out.
you just hold on to that and let somebody else go, then you can figure it out.
Okay, I'm 64. It takes a minute.
And that's okay.
Okay, beg your damn pardon.
Why we got to help you out? Just why don't you
All right.
hold what you
Right.
got.
I'm
What-
thinking about it. Look at I got my thinking space on.
Okay. Chris, favorite Christmas movie?
I would have to say there was a movie that came out back in 1951, and it was a version of A Christmas Carol. And the reason why it was controversial because they said it was very dark in its subject matter. Now, the reason why it was dark because everybody knows the story about Scrooge, but how did he become bitter? Was the reason why he was mean. And it was the first adaptation that really drew into the backstory
Really?
of why he became who he became.
Really?
Wow.
One reason was the fact, okay, for example, you see him in the scene where he hates his nephew, can't stand him. The reason why he hates his nephew is because his sister gave birth to his nephew in childbirth, and she died,
Ooh.
and that was the reason why he hated
You
his
killed
nephew.
her.
Right, but that was the reason why. See, again, we look at the backstory, you see why he wasn't always that way, but you see through the chapters of his life why he became better.
Well,
That's
and that's
sad.
that's the traditional Christmas Carol, or this is a special?
This is from the book. What usually
The book. Okay.
But it's also made into a movie. The movie version was sticking to the book version, because anything, you get a movie, you edit stuff out, and you don't have certain adaptations to it. But for that version, stay true to the book.
Gotcha.
And you really got a really good feel of why he became what he became, and eventually had redemption and changed his life.
Yeah, because in the original movie, didn't they do Christmas present, past, and future, something like that?
Right, that's the storyline. Right.
Yeah,
That's my favorite.
what?
Thank you for Ron. Thank you for that segue. My favorite is Girlfriends of Christmas Past. Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah, I
They
saw
go
that.
back and they show all of his previous exes and all these girls that he had slept with. Oh. First of all, Matthew McConaughey, he's the man. I mean, for a white boy, he's all right. Okay? I mean, he be getting it in. And that was just one of my favorite movies. What was a girl in that movie? Was it Jennifer Garner? Anyway, the girl in the movie, she just she put him in his place, and goodness, she was fine. Anyway, so that's my favorite Christmas movie. Sorry.
Okay, Professor. You ain't got one?
Mr. Professor? It's a black movie, correct?
I don't know. Any of the old movies,
Miracle on 34th Street? No.
No, none of that stuff. I don't know.
Got to be a black movie.
No. I guess the only movie, probably, I think The Best Man's Holiday was the Christmas film that I liked the most.
Best Man, who was that starring?
The best with what's his name? Morris Chestnut, is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's him.
And Terrence Howard and
You mean The
Nia
Best
Long.
Man?
Yeah, The Best Man Holiday. That's it.
I thought it was just The Best Man.
It was version 1 and version 2. And then the second
I
one.
don't remember the second one. Okay.
The second one was when she was at Christmas time and she passed. His wife passed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she had cancer, right, in the second movie. Yeah.
So they supposed to be doing a 3, but I guess I like that one,
Who didn't love Nia Long back in the day, though?
Well, and it was like predictable, and then I like the character that Terrence Howard played. But in the second one, I like Merch. I like when they did that scene in the car when they was fighting, and they was doing the karate scene in the car. I like that. When they was whatever it was, that might have been the first one, but whatever it was, they was fighting in the car and they was doing karate movies, talking about Screaming Monkey, and they was fighting in the car in that scene. But that's one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Have any of you met Nia Long? I'm sure you have, Mike, right?
I have not.
I met Nia Long years ago. It was at a National Association of Black Journalists convention.
Is she a snob?
No, she was real nice. But you know what? You think that she has some ass, and she really don't. It's kind of.
Well, she's a cutie to me. I wouldn't be physically thinking about her derriere, but I mean,
it wasn't like you kick her out of bed flat, but I mean it was. I thought it would be a lot more Halle Berry-ish, round.
What about the movie It's a Wonderful Life?
Thank you, Mike.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, classic white movie. That's cool.
Yeah,
well,
thank you for the save.
I mean, the youngsters get a chance to have access to, a lot of these actors, that have come out over the last 10 years. But guys like us in our 60s, those are the movies. We didn't have a choice.
I'm not in my 60s. I'm in my 40s, bro.
I wasn't really speaking to you. Can you put your zipper down?
Let me cut through the shit right now.
Thank you.
Right, because I'm gonna come after your ass too, Buck. First of all, Mike, I asked you. You didn't say what movie. I said it's The Wonderful Life. No,
Well, you know what?
that ain't it.
I checked
No.
out because I had to go get my phone to confirm. That's where I was at. I'm sorry.
Okay, great. Now, Buck, for the
Yes,
record,
sir.
everybody, I am 4 days older than Buck. I am
Really?
54, and so is Buck Wild.
Okay, well,
Nah.
whatever. In my mind,
No, ain't no goddamn whatever. It isn't.
Hey, what's
Claim-
your GDs, bro? Come on.
Oh, something. Okay, let's cut that right now. How can you, in one breath, denounce not God but got, as I say, damn it, and the next breath you say motherfucker? So which one of you do you want?
Pick
I
one. Man.
didn't
Pick
say
one.
motherfucker. I didn't say that.
Oh, that's why you used the word nigger. My bad.
Oh,
I
damn.
didn't say nigger either. I
Hey,
said
no.
nigger.
But you have used it.
Okay, well, that's one of my favorite words. Sorry.
No, what I'm saying is you can't denounce one cuss word and embrace the other.
Well, actually, you know what? I think that if we're going to actually talk about this, I think that the GD word is like the most offensive of all of them.
Of all.
And I think Mike agrees with me, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, then we have to. I'm sorry. For where I come from, all the cuss words are disgusting.
Oh,
Yeah,
all
but
of
if you
them.
use God's name
Right.
in vain, though, that's
Yeah,
I didn't say
yeah,
God.
yeah,
Let me
yeah,
say that
yeah.
again. Got, not God. I
what does
said
that,
God.
What sense does that make?
It's just me talking.
But I mean, that's not.
I mean,
That
what
does not-
sense does it make to have any cuss word?
Yeah.
Well, that's
I mean,
my
if you're
point.
gonna like that, Buck.
Right, that's my point.
It's
So
a
you're
little-
gonna hug the word nigger, but get offended by the other words.
But don't you think it's a little too close?
Okay, well, you have your cuss words and I have mine.
You have your cuss words, and I'll have mine.
Well, I mean, and I think the question comes to the panel is because Buck is half white, does he get a chance to legally use the word NIGGA?
I get a pass
asking
on
for a
both.
friend.
I get a pass on all of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I think he
and-
does it.
Until you
Because-
get your ass whooped.
You know what's really crazy though? Okay, as yellow as I am, one time I was in New Orleans at Essence Festival, and there was these two brothers walking in front of me, and one of them was probably lighter than me, and he was like, nigga this, nigga that, nigga that. And you know what? And I felt uncomfortable. I was
Damn.
like, is that what I look like?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got all everybody that was shaking their heads yes at the same
Yes.
time.
It
That
was weird. It was really kind of weird. I ain't gonna lie. And
Well,
listen,
I'm going to be extremely cool on this.
we're amongst
program
friends, so
today.
I can actually admit that.
I'm going to be cool today, and when we get into the green room, then I will let loose.
okay. Well, Joseph JoJo Collins says Buck gets a pass.
Thank you, JoJo.
So
Oh boy.
Seeing as how we discussed all the old classic movies, do you think the new Christmas movies are just as profound?
Are there any new Christmas? You know what?
Yes,
I don't
they
even watch
are.
Christmas. I don't even watch
Yeah.
Christmas movies.
Yeah, the movies, they have a theme, they have a purpose, they're going somewhere. And I love to see black people working in movies, so I like to see them
Okay.
doing what they're doing.
I like to see
You
black
know.
people working, period.
Yeah, well,
But I don't
You
want
know.
to see them in the movies because they're working. I want to
okay.
hear the story. I want. You know, when miracles happen, we start going into faith and spirituality. And I think when we make that connection with Christmas, it's about believing in something that happened that gives us what we need to move forward in life.
But we should have that every day.
Right. But
not just on a December holiday. We should, as people, want to share, miracles and love one to another. And when we only emphasize it on a December holiday, it becomes very shallow.
Does it
For you.
really? Does it really?
Yeah.
Why is that, Ron? What do you base that on?
I base it on the fact that you don't think about your loved ones or anybody else until it's a reason to.
I do
Okay.
all the time.
Well, we
And
ain't
it's
talking
probably
about
because-
just
well,
you,
it- well,
Buck.
it
Can
might
I
be just
finish?
because
You
I-
asked
I
me a
live far away.
question.
I live
you
far
give,
away, so maybe
you
I'm
asked
different.
me a question. Let me finish. Okay.
Well, hurry up.
You know, I don't have to. you
Your
know,
show probably won't either.
you know, the idea behind showing love and care one to another, you know, gets lost. It gets lost. And then all of a sudden, you know, everybody wants to give a gift. You know, everybody wants to show love. Everybody wants to do all the things that they should be doing 365 days out of the year, not just one holiday in December. Okay. You know, that one day in December stirs everybody up and they remember this, they remember that. Oh, I remember the time, I remember the time, I remember the time. Now we know, Buck, you know, that you're very close to your mother and you have no choice but to love her and show her love every day because she's your mother. But what about the rest of us out here in the world that you don't show love to?
I show love to people all the time. Apparently you don't know me, or at least you act like you don't know me. But
I
you know
just
that
go
I'm
by
a
what I
loving
see.
person.
I
I'm
just
a
go by
loving
what I
person.
see, bro. I just go by what I see.
I'm a loving person.
Okay. But, you know, you get my point. This should be a practice and an exercise that we should be doing 365 days out of the year.
If that's your point, you know what? That is a very good one.
Okay, that's good. I'm gonna really be cool, and I'm really gonna do a lot of listening. I'm gonna do a lot of listening, and I'm agreeing with everybody. And what's 365 days, everything we gotta do is a lot of love. Okay, what's the first step?
Can I say something before we get into that first step? So don't forget your thought. The movie, Chris, was King of Kings. You remember that movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
You talking about the one that came out in the 60s?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the one. I'm telling you. Now, that movie right there was the one. They showed it every year.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start talking about Christmas and it's all about, how our sins are forgiving, and the reason that Christ came down from heaven, he suffered, died, and was buried and arose again, and our sins were nailed to the cross. And, we're living this life to live again, to get eternal life, and our souls will get to heaven. That's what that movie exemplified to me.
I wasn't born.
It doesn't matter, but your sins were already forgiven.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so all these other movies that we're talking about, especially when we start talking about movies that have African Americans in them, it doesn't matter the race or the hue of the person that's in it. It was the purpose. And that's what made that movie so popular, was because, Ron, to address what you said in reference to this once every year in December, it's like a consistent reminder that comes along that says, we're not without sin. And that's why God sent Jesus down from heaven to make that happen. And this chosen time happens to be around Christmas, even though we have, some proof that it may have happened in September. But for some reason, whether it's not our holiday or not, this time was chosen to say Christ was born on this day, born in a manger. Mary got the message. Joseph had never had sexual intercourse with her. And all of these things represent a purpose in our lives. And so I'm not sure if I'm ready to argue whether the day was in September or December. I think it's the message that is being conveyed in the time of year. Now, I'm with you. If it was September, they should say it was September. But you start talking about the three kings and then they come. I mean, it's just so many things that are going on here that, do we pinpoint the date and the time, or do we pinpoint the message that's being sent? And I think that movie, The King of Kings, no other movie since that movie came out topped that message.
You're right. And that was the actor Jeffrey Hunter who played Jesus in that movie.
I mean, come on. When that movie was done, he was Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, and, it's amazing when you look at these actors.
Until 1968, when James did Say It Loud, it was over for him.
Yeah, I'm black and I'm proud.
Yeah, exactly.
It was over for him. I mean, yeah, because I remember that thing too. It was them eyes, right? Oh man,
Yeah.
the way they put the light on his eyes and stuff. And even when I'm playing gospel music in the morning and stuff, now I will not put up any scenes of the lighter hue Jesus.
Yeah.
I will not. I haven't done that. I won't do that.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't found a darker hue Jesus, even though the Bible depicts him as being burnt bronze or whatever that was.
Right. I mean, when you're talking about where he was from, that region,
Yeah.
everybody in that region was pretty much.
They had to have a hue. They had to
Yeah.
have a darker hue. You
Yeah,
understand?
it was closer to us than it was the picture that's hanging in grandma's bedroom.
You know what's funny though?
The dude with the blonde hair and the blue eyes.
We all remember that image because it was drilled into us. But you know, when I pray, I really don't even focus on Jesus' face.
Of course not.
You know what I mean? I kind of in my mind I see the hair and his robe, and maybe sometimes the cross, or maybe him at the Last Supper. But to see his actual face, I mean, I guess because I know that's not really important. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, so I don't see the blonde hair, blue eyes.
It gets to be that today. You know, it gets to be that today. Well, it's not really important, but it really is. Because that will solidify and give us a greater constitution. I mean, we'll have a greater strength. So, but I'm not gonna get too.
But Professor, that movie was in black and white.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
listen, and again, it goes back to Janet Jackson's control. You understand? At that time, who made that movie? What studio did it come out? So you know, you have to deal with who produced this film and who put this film out. You have to really go to the source to find out the reasoning behind this film and why it was made that way. You understand? Because and the only times that we see black Jesus is when they make it into some type of comedy.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Now, as somebody who's half Jewish, just think about the fact that he was Jewish, and when you look at modern day Hebrews, they don't look black. They definitely don't look, blonde hair, blue eyed, white either. But they're not. I mean, they're not African looking. You know what I mean? They're Middle Eastern looking.
Well, see, it's one thing that we all suffer from. We are all victims of the early world history. And when the early world history came about, there was a period of time called the Crusades.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And when the Crusades came about, their sole purpose was to redesign what the religious scrolls were.
Yeah.
You know, because then that's when King James commissioned himself to have a Bible. Right. And it's one thing that we suffer from is the fact that even before that time, what did the Africans do? What did they do? And what did their civilization dictate? How did they look at and deal with God? So, because of imperialism, because what England did and all this stuff, that book has been put upon us. Is put upon us, and part of it is used to enslave.
Right, without a doubt.
When the missionaries came to Africa, right? One of the first things like they did to challenge is that they challenged their gods, because Africans would have certain lands, right, where they believed that you couldn't go there and wasn't nothing gonna grow there. So you get this European person, right, and they dealing with all this sunlight and this warm weather, and they go there and they got this god Jesus, and then they start growing vegetables on this land that was previously dealt with as being called forbidden. So the next thing you know, the women, the African women, they gonna say, "Oh, what's up with this God that you talking about?" And next, that's how it goes on. And the next thing you know, that very thing that they accept that has enslaved them. That's their genius. I'm gonna leave that right there.
But when we talk about the message, see, I keep going back to the message because I believe, and I'm not taking up for the Anglo producers from the film companies who put these stories together, and it's projected as Jesus being of a lighter hue. But the message is the most important part.
And I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And so I have to deal with Carter G. Woodson. Everything that they produce, that they give to us, we have to reverse it and look at it in another.
There you go. Okay,
you know, because it's called the miseducation of the Negro.
Right. There you go. There you go. There you go. Now you get my point. See, if you get caught up in that,
yeah, I mean,
they got you going down the wrong road. You gotta stick with the message.
Yeah, I saw that because but here's the thing. His genius has been to convince us that he created that message when that message came from us in the first place.
Right.
That's all I want to say.
Okay. And Chris just put up a message from one of our listeners that was talking about the continent of Africa. One of our viewers. So the oldest continent was Africa. And so all of the roads lead to this person who looks more like us than anyone else on the planet.
Oh, absolutely. And so we can't have that belief.
There you go.
Gus says
people from those regions have dark skin. There you go.
Yeah, we can't have that belief. That's why every time something is done by us in any kind of way, there's eventually something is going to be a discredit behind it. You understand? You know, they said, first of all, you know, throughout the time, you know, our brains were inferior, you know, and everything about us was inferior. That was his genius. And it got to the point where he convinced us to believe that we were inferior when we never have been.
When did he do that? Was that while we were enslaved?
Period.
Is that what you're talking about? Or was it before that?
You could take it from the missionary time.
Before we were enslaved.
Yeah.
I thought that before we were enslaved, it was our own African brothers that sold us into slavery.
Okay, see, listen. Now,
is that not correct?
I mean, that's a wonderful point. But let me say it to you like this, and you have to check out John Henrik Clarke. You have to deal with it. The black man has never had any friends. Everyone that has came around him has used him. Everyone that came around him has tried to use him and take his natural resources. So you need to check out Professor John Henrik Clarke. You have to check him out.
The interesting story I got, and I don't remember the exact wording and all that, but I remember reading, and it kind of made me a little bit angry, that when these Portuguese came down to the west coast of Africa, they were interested in doing some sort of trading, and they met these Africans that were trying to impress these white men from Portugal. And so they said, well, you know what? Hey, we've got these slaves here. Look at this. We're going to trade you these slaves, trying to impress the white man. Well, of course, the white man looking at him like, you know, this is kind of stupid. You're selling your own people into slavery. And then, of course, they didn't realize, oh, wait, these aren't their people, because Africa is a bunch of countries. They're not just one, you know, big whole country. But it was not just, it wasn't just black people saying, the white man coming in and saying, all right, here you go. You're a slave. You're a slave. You're a slave. It was, they were sold into slavery by these Africans that were trying to impress the white man. This is just a story I got. It might be completely wrong. I don't know.
Listen. And you know, there have been a lot of misnomers about it, but you have to, you know, we're tribal people, communal people, you know, and everybody, all of us, every nation, whatever, has had slaves and have enslaved people. That's what wars were about. When one country or one neighboring country conquers another country, first thing, all the men are killed and all the women are kept alive. You understand that? Those the kind of things that they want to do. So it really, to your point, it doesn't. Listen. One thing that's forgotten when you talked about the Portuguese and things like that, they were conquered by two tribes called the Moors and the Berbers. And those were huge tribes. Those were black tribes, okay, that colonized Spain. The first university is in Spain. I think it's St. Augustine. The Moors and the Berbers were responsible for the educational system before the Germans took it over. It was a Moor who brought Columbus to America. It was a Moor, and they called the Moor the painted man. That's what black actually means. It means painted man. That's what the Moor was. But it was the Moors who was a Moor who was a navigator for Christopher Columbus that ran him to the other side of the world.
Because a place he discovered.
Yeah, that's right.
And wasn't scared of falling off the earth, the flat
That's
earth.
right. That's right. Because the Moors believed the world to be round.
They knew the world to be round.
Right.
Not just assumed. They had traveled the world.
Yeah.
And see, the Moors had actually planted, harvested on every continent. Because they travel to every continent so that they can restock their ships and have food to eat when they travel to these different continents. You know, the indigenous people of every continent were people of color. Okay. And the Moors had charted the oceans long before anybody else. As a matter of fact, Europeans could not travel without the Moors with them to get them from point A to point B.
That's right.
Okay. So, and a couple of points I want to throw out there, you know, because we talk about the importance of the color of what Jesus is on every continent. It's important to somebody that they have a color that's similar to what they or resemble what they look like in order to emphasize the power structure that they were bringing to put in place. Because the color of what they said God was, or the Son of God was needed in order to influence power. Where we're the closest color to God, so that means we're like God, and we can come in here and dominate and conquer and take what you got because we're God. Okay, or we're the closest color to God. So it's important and was important in order to be similar to, so that you can influence
Who you taking over? Who you
exactly. Okay. So
that.
Because if you got a color that's pale, and the God that you're demonstrating is pale, okay, so then we can't mess with him because he's close to God.
And they just
now I want you to stop right there.
Ass too.
Right, but I want you to stop right there because you just said something, Ron, that's profound. And it's something that I believe that we all need to take a moment and think about. I mean, what you just said seconds ago was genius. It answers a lot of questions that people have in trying to figure out how this whole slavery thing came about. So let's go back to talking about the Moors. And when they got here, there were already Moors on the property,
right,
to a land that Christopher Columbus,
indigenous people,
exactly, discovered. Okay, now we've been going through this for thousands of years of this pale man having more power than this painted man. Right? You just said that. Okay. See, the painted man was curious And when he went to other, I'm sorry, the pale man was curious. And when he went to other pale men, they said, oh, no, that's not going to work because it's square. You'll fall off. As soon as you get on this part of the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean, you're going to fall off. But the Moors are going, no. It's totally different. Now you get a Christopher Columbus who takes a chance on his friend who's one of the Moors and gets him there and realizes once they're there, they can't take care of themselves. They don't know how to plan in the winter. They don't know how to take the skin from a buffalo and make a teepee.
It's because they were thinking they were going to Asia, remember?
Of course. Yeah. But I'm just saying the things that were the challenges of seasons. See, every country doesn't have seasons like the US. Some countries you go to and it's the same year round, 24/7. But they came here and there was a winter, spring, summer, and fall.
In the West Indies. Okay.
No, in the United States.
Yeah, but he landed in the West Indies.
Right. But I'm saying as they were working their way to the United States, there was winter, spring, summer, fall. When they put their feet on the East Coast, right? Virginia, somewhere in that area.
Plymouth Rock.
Plymouth Rock. When they put their feet, that was a whole different thing. It wasn't what the West Indies was. It wasn't what they were used to. There were winter, spring, summer, fall, and the indigenous people and the Moors all knew how to survive in this weather. So let's go back to what we were saying in the conversation going to the Kings when the Portuguese got on their boats. Remember, they had Portuguese flags.
Hold on a second. There's no seasons in Europe? I don't understand.
I'm not saying there's no seasons in Europe, but I'm saying there's other places around the world that don't have the seasons that we have, winter, spring, summer, fall.
But where they came from, it was.
It probably was, but we don't know if it was in the same capacity. When they got here, they were totally ill-equipped to deal with what this climate in this continent was bringing them. They were unequipped. Now, the Moors guy is saying, we can help you. This "we can help you" takes them and gets on these boats with these Portuguese flags, going to Africa, they went to ask for help. They didn't go looking for slaves.
Actually, these were Spain. Remember, he flew under the flag of Spain because Portuguese wouldn't.
Okay, however it went down. But what I'm saying is, when he got there, this wasn't, see, sometimes this story is told like you went over there and the king said, okay, we're going to give you some slaves. The king didn't give you any slaves. We weren't sold to them as slaves. They said, we need help, because the Moors had already told Columbus and his people, we already know how to do this land. But going back to the missionaries and everybody that the professor's talking about and Dr. Ron's talking about is where the story actually gets convoluted.
Gets changed.
It gets changed.
It gets changed.
That's
what the King James Version was all about. That's what the Crusades was all about.
Now you're talking.
That's exactly what we learned that. You learned that in high school. I learned that in high school in early world history.
Yeah.
You know, that was in, what was it? That was in 10 AD.
Whatever it was. It was so far back.
King Arthur and them cats, they went in there, and Arthur, they went to come down there, and the place was Mesopotamia, where they had where all the ancient scrolls were. I think that was in Mesopotamia, but they went in there and they destroyed them libraries as much as they can. Mm-hmm. And so KJ said, write me a new thing.
Right.
And so they wrote a new thing, and listen, all of the characters in there, they were reversed. They were probably us.
They said over 20,000 translations have been over the course of hundreds of years that have happened of the KJ.
Yeah. So, and those cats that were in there, probably all of those people were huge people in the beginning.
Right. So, there you go.
And so here's the thing. We've been convinced that we weren't the origin, you know, in the
Right.
Bible.
Exactly.
And the first line of the Bible just says very explicitly, it says, in the beginning, there was darkness.
Right. Exactly.
Now,
Then there was light, you know, but like I said, that's been the genius of the oppressor, you know, to have us to believe in his superiority.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's my whole point in this situation. And I know, Ron, you're ready to jump in. You know, the whole thing, see, we keep saying that our kings sold us to slavery. They didn't sell us to slavery. We were supposed to be going over to show them how to make this work. The slavery came in. Now, that the kings, okay.
When they got here and got to America, then they needed the labor.
That's when the slavery came in.
Yeah,
whereas I'm in charge.
Yeah, that's when the middle class.
That's when things came into place. There you go, Professor. Yeah. I'm in charge.
Yeah,
because you know there is structure. These guys that had tribes in Africa, that wasn't considered. It was slavery, but it wasn't slavery. It's almost like an armor bearer, if you know what that is in a church.
Well, you know,
hold on a second. Hold on, Ron. Buck says he doesn't know what an armor bearer is. So is somebody willing to explain that to him?
Why don't you do it since you're the one?
No. I want somebody with a little bit more depth than me.
Well, what he's speaking of, Buck, is an armor bearer is someone who protects the leader of the organization. That's the simplest way to put it.
Like the sergeant at arms?
Similar. Yes, very similar. Yeah, very similar.
But an armor bearer doesn't necessarily have to have any type of rank.
Right. He doesn't. He doesn't have power.
That's why I said similar. That's why I said similar. Yeah. Yeah. Because you see, a sergeant of arms would be somebody that has a title. See, an armor bearer is somebody who protects who the leadership is.
The position of who you are.
Right. And his sole purpose is to protect the leadership, whoever the leadership is.
There you go.
So let me do two things, if you don't mind, please.
Go ahead.
First of all, I want to give a shout out to Marshall Thompson from the Shylights.
Nice, I saw that. Yeah, hey, Marshall.
He popped in and he said Merry Christmas, and I didn't want to let that go by. You know, my brother and my friend, he's got this new song out, and I'm sure he's gonna put it in the comments. His Christmas song. You know, and before any other empire existed, you know, on the continent of Africa, they had civilized, organized kingdoms that reigned for centuries. Okay, sometimes we forget about that.
Right.
You know, when the Roman Empire, when they decided to conquer the world, when they got to Egypt, they couldn't do nothing with Queen of Sheba, okay, and her empire and what she had established and what she had going. And even before that, if you go back in Shaka Zulu's time, he instituted a different form of warfare that nobody ever even heard of until he came along. Okay, so we had civilization. And we had more going for us in Africa than the Roman Empire did. When they came along, they wanted to conquer the world, and they just, you know, they organized whatever they organized. Okay, because I saw somebody ask the question, "What about the Roman Empire?" So in the comments, I forgot who it was, but anyway, the organizational continent was organized. It was unified, and yes, there were weaker tribes that were conquered, yes, you know, but that was evolution. That's just like in the jungle, when the lion decides to have, you know, his feast or his dinner, he gonna pick a weaker beast,
opponent, of course,
a beast to you know, to feast on. Right. So, and that's what happened. You know, it was the evolutionary process. So now when the Europeans decided, they had a meeting, and I know a lot of people don't talk about this, but it existed. There was a meeting in Europe, and they decided, how are we going to divide the dark continent, is
Right.
what they called it. Okay, because they had gunpowder, guns, Bibles, and bullshit. Okay, so we can go in here with this bullshit, and we can take what we want. Okay, and they divided the continent up. Okay, and there were only, I think, 2 countries in the entire continent of Africa that were never ever conquered by any European entity.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you all go look it up and study it out, you'll find out. I want to say it's the Mali Empire was one. Am I right, Professor? I know you deep into that. And then I think it was another one that were never ever conquered by either the Portuguese, the English, any European entity. Okay, so
See,
Africa.
Buck, that's why I wanted him to explain it. See, he just gave you fact right there. See, that's why I said when you have to see the stories being told that slavery started, well, they brought some trinkets over, and then the king said, well, you can have Buck and you can have Mike and you can have Ron. It was a whole different thing that they took it when they got here. The lighter hue understood the ignorance of their own power. They didn't have any.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to take care of themselves outside of their own country. They already fighting the king.
Mm-hmm.
They leave this country because they leave England because they don't want to do what the king says.
They were criminals.
They were criminals. Right.
This was a penal colony. They said, we're going to send all the criminals from the UK over to this country because we don't want you here no more. And then they got here and did what criminals do.
But they couldn't survive.
Right.
I want to just okay.
So look, I wanted to step back a step. LT put up here, armor bearer is the protector of the leader of the organization. This person is very similar to an executive assistant or personal assistant.
Right.
Okay, because that was a question you asked about what it is, and LT came back, and I think I said the same thing.
You did.
Okay. So,
and
but
Professor said the same thing as well.
Yes. So, and I want to go back even 2 steps further back than that, because
but don't let the professor forget his point, because he's getting
ready.
No,
because I'm getting ready to address what the professor asked early on. What should we be doing? And the answer to that question is we need more love. Okay, because love is the answer to doing this 365 days out of the year. Okay, and I'm not saying lust, I said love, unconditional, agape, universal love. Because if we incorporate more love in our lives and show love one to another, that is the first step to making sure that we can have this more than just a day in December. So now go ahead, Professor. I wanted to
Professor, because I know what he's getting ready to say.
It is so ironic that Ron would say not lust, because he is very familiar with lust.
No, we serious right now, Buck.
Come on, Professor, because when he get ready to say something that's paramount, I know what he get. Come on, Professor.
No. I'm not gonna go any parallel or anything. I just want to make this reminder to us. There's been no civilization that has lasted. Every civilization, every one of them fell.
Mm-hmm. There you go. There you go.
Fell. And for what reasons, we don't know. But like the history, I think there's a huge void. There's a void that exists with us, in that we don't know much of what was done in the early African civilizations. Mm-hmm. So, because I always tease people, because God is who He is. Who's to say that we haven't been cursed for what we did? Hundreds of thousands of years ago. Who's to say?
Right.
Because listen, they haven't figured out the pyramids. You know, they haven't figured it out. And so there's been so many other great things that we've accomplished. There were so many other great things done, but no civilization, none has lasted forever. So why are we so arrogant into thinking that ours will? The Greeks fell, the Romans fell, the Moors fell. Everybody is going to fall. You know, the thing is will we see it in our time? I don't think so. You know,
too many distractions right now. We can't see it.
You know, but see, you know, Babylon is destined to fall. Okay, you know. So look, we talked about a movie, so I'm gonna mention this line from a movie. Omar Sharif. I know you all old enough to know who he was, and it was in the movie about Saudi Arabia, and they had an Englishman, and they were in the desert, and he explained to this Englishman, "Look, we had indoor plumbing in Saudi Arabia a long time before you English even climbed out of the caves." Okay,
that's heavy.
You know, and they had books, they had education along with the Greeks, you know, because the Arabs, you know, the Egyptians were an ancient civilization as well that fell. Okay, so they all had established themselves, but one of the things that they had did, because you know, if you go into the Dead Sea Scrolls, that's another whole hour topic. Okay, you know, when they discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls and what was written on the Dead Sea Scrolls, you know, they were saying like, look, we had what you're trying to get. Okay. And I'm talking about the Europeans now. Okay. So, you know, I just wanted to throw that in there, you know.
But you make an excellent point, because Buck, think about this for a minute. You know, when we keep talking about, you know, we're talking about the armor bearer, and you said explain it and going back into it. See, respect is really power. And that's something that we just won't grasp in order to be successful. That's why when Professor talks about these different tribes going down, they all go down lacking respect. Every time their demise is when the respect goes away.
Pride comes before the fall. What is that?
There you
Come
go,
on, man. There you go.
So, you know, a lot of times, and when we, and this is to come to your point a little bit, Dr. Ron, you say we need more love. Now, and then my only question towards that would be, what would be the source of this definition of love? Because that needs to be reset, because the absence of what real love is in regards to our people is something that is missing. Because you have to remember, according to John Henry Clark, now, no one has ever been our friend. No one has ever been our friend. Everyone that has come around us has used us. So there's a tremendous hurt within us.
Yes.
That's the first thing that we have to work through. We have to work through that hurt before we even get to facing what that love is. And so where are we going to get the context for addressing all this hurt? Are we going to look at what the pygmies did? Are we going to look at what these other tribes in Africa did? Are we going to look at the continent as a whole and take bits and pieces out of each one to make this universal thing? You know, so that's really the journey. Because, and then when the enemy wants to impede that, all the enemy has to do is put leadership or negative leadership in the heart of some individual, and they're gonna first thing they're gonna say, "Oh no, we don't need to do that."
Exactly.
Yeah. How many times have you heard that when we tried to love one another? Man, I ain't loving one. Man, please.
But see, now Chris, think about this for a minute. What he just said. we struggle with this every day, and that's loving ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
We
Yes,
struggle with this every day. We
Yep.
waiting on them to love us, and we don't love ourselves.
That's exactly right. Bingo. The nail
Come on,
on the
man.
head. The nail
Mhm.
definitely on the head. And
Mhm.
until we go to Michael Jackson and grab that man.
Man, in the mirror.
There you
Woo!
go.
Chris.
Until we deal with that, you know, because we can't just say that. I just can't say I know all of what love is.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mike Love can't say that. Dr.
I
Ron can't say that. Buck
That's
Wild
right.
can't say that. We're going to have, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. We got this huge jigsaw puzzle with all these pieces. Man, we got to throw all them pieces out, and then we got to start spreading them around and start looking to see what corners and what pieces fit together. And the first thing that we got to build is the edge.
Well, yeah. Y'all remember that newspaper when newspapers was around? Same time radio stations was real. They used to have this little cartoon that used to say, "Love is."
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, and it could be any number of anecdotes in there to describe what love is, and none of them were wrong. And it was not just one answer to that question. So basically, what you're saying and what Mike is saying is exactly the same thing. Love is,
Love
and
is.
we need to begin to institute what love is, because without it, like you said, the man in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Well, me, when I look in the mirror, I see my own man. Because I'm getting older and grayer, and I look just like him.
But you see you.
Yes, and I see the origin in which I came from. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm. Absolutely.
So I understand that I grew up with schisms and isms and all those other things, but I cannot let them influence me to be hatred towards anybody or myself.
Oh, listen now, listen now. That's absolute on the point. But listen, some stuff is ingrained. It's just ingrained in us from the conditions from which we lived. You understand? It's just
Product
like,
of our environment. I got it. Go
Right.
ahead.
it's just like this. It's just like the story of how they used to say they would break the black man, or they would put stuff on the woman's mind. They would take her strong son, her disobedient son, and put him in between two horses, shoot a gun, and have them horses run in the opposite direction, splitting that child and tearing him from limb to limb. So what do you think that put on the mind of that woman that she was transferring to them babies? It's a lot of hurt that we got to work through, and then we got to be tolerant of each other and say, well, that existed, and then we got to let that be. We got to see, there's some things that we got to let be among ourselves so we can get comfortable with each other, because all of us didn't have the same experiences.
Stop right there.
Yes, sir.
You just said comfortable with each other.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Buck, how many rappers have died over the last 3 to 4 weeks with these battles? And rappers are coming out right now asking other rappers to get it together. Why are we battling each other? What was this rapper's name that just got stabbed the other day?
Draco.
Yeah. What's going on with this?
But listen. Now you know where I'm gonna go with this. It's because we don't have that control with that. We don't have that control with that, and it seems like the death of our artists like that only makes more profit for them.
But I'm asking Buck to help explain, because he's a little bit closer to this genre of music than I am, for sure. where are they missing it? What's going on that the message of love is not translating amongst them?
That French girl Monet, man, shoot, man, please. I saw that documentary on the young man who was a great who was a great artist, Juice World.
Yeah.
And this guy was, self-medicating himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a prolific songwriter or a song. He was doing all this. So here's my thing, though. Our young people or the society or what has ever been going on has put up an artificial wall in between us to where there are no more rites of passages. If you're a young brother and you're talented and you still don't know everything, you need to listen to some old heads. Even though you're making all this money and you're doing all these great things, that don't make you better. That just means your talent is just being recognized. We still got the recipe for the rite of passage with black men is either been burned, buried, tore up, or it's just lost. Because we don't have a connection with the old head. It's always, why do the old men always have to fight the young men? Why does that have to exist?
But they're fighting each other right now. That's why I'm asking Buck. What's the fight all about?
Okay. Well, that's because we didn't tell them not to fight. That's one of the reasons. And nothing leaves nothing. You understand? They didn't birth themselves. They didn't bring themselves here. Somebody brought them. Somebody came here before them, and we weren't a better example for them. And then it was just like the way Miss Sophia said in The Color Purple, or what? No, not Sophia. What was Woody? What was her name? Whoopi's character. Okay. Whoopi's character told her, "See, y'all done messed up, and y'all done let the white people." Oprah. Yeah, y'all done let the white people get Miss Sophia.
Yeah,
we don't let the white people get our rappers.
I know, but Buck is closest to this. I want to hear what he got to say.
If
Buck.
the professor would shut the fuck up for a second, let me talk.
Okay,
Goodness,
well, he's got a profound,
but
that's not the point. He's making some profound statements, but we asking you to come in for clarity, please.
One thing that you gotta realize, and I don't know if we think about this or not, but most of the rappers are real heavy drug users. I mean, when I say heavy, I mean high all the time. So a lot of times they're not really in control of what they say or do. I mean, because drugs, they can really have a heavy influence over your life if you're not in control of it. So that's how a lot of this shit gets out of control, is that they're out of it. And I can't speak for every rapper, but just going to a recording studio, there's some serious smoke up in there. So, I don't know if there is any answer, Mike, because like I said, the drugs have taken over so badly, and it's not like this is a new thing. They have been whacked out on drugs and some of the weed, of course, is probably the biggest thing, but
weed would have that kind of influence. I mean, these guys
it's a lot more than that. No, it's a lot more than that. Remember how Wayne used to be like on the syrup all the time?
Right.
The codeine.
Yeah.
It's bad, especially with fentanyl and heroin. I mean, it's gotten really bad. So, it's really hard to say that there's any kind of solution, because as long as these guys are whacked out like that.
Chris, you moderating us in this whole thing. I mean, are we going in the right direction? Should we leave it at where Professor dropped it, or what are we doing?
No, you continue on the thought process that you have. Let me interject this, and I'll step back, and I'll do one of Professor's numbers. I'm going to be cool. Ron has said something interesting for me when he mentioned about looking in the mirror and seeing his father. And I thought about my own self at times looking in the mirror and seeing my dad, God rest his soul. And combined with the holiday season, my dad was the embodiment in our household when it came down to Christmas. You don't have to like Christmas. You don't have to celebrate it. That's your given right. But what my dad left me and my family were great memories. And I think there's all of us as coming up with children and parents, every moment we have with our parents and our siblings, our brothers and sisters, is a matter of thoughts and memories. So when he had mentioned that, meaning Ron, just real quick, I thought about the time where we had a Christmas party and we had a nativity scene, just like most people in the household. And it was after the party, and we also had this big Christmas tree, about 9 feet tall and 9 feet wide and everything else. And those type of trees my dad had growing up in his household, and he passed on to us a tradition. So again, next to the tree was a nativity scene. So this is after New Year, so we were packing everything up. My dad gets the box. He turns over to me, Chris, have you seen Jesus? And I was like, well, no, not now. I mean, he's my Lord and Savior, but I've not seen. No, boy, I'm talking about the baby Jesus in this nativity scene. I said, no, I haven't seen. Okay, all right, stop what you're doing, put down and go look for Jesus.
Somebody that stole Jesus.
Thank you. Thank you. And we had a good laugh out of it because my dad was like, it was probably somebody on my side of the family. Somebody pocketed Jesus. So no offense, if there is a hell, there's a special place in hell for you to go into somebody's nativity scene and pocket baby Jesus and put it in your pocket.
Trying to take baby Jesus to the pawn shop.
Thank you. And how much can I get for baby Jesus? Oh, I don't know.
That's not funny. I don't even want to laugh at that, but that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's insane. I mean, and we can talk about that later on if we like to, but about memories and things like that, because like I said before, my dad loved the holiday season. He could not wait for it, and he was just the embodiment of it. And so when we lost him, there was a big hole for Christmas time. It really was. And, my mom was saying, because, they would cook together, and my dad was kind of like the sous chef to my mom and vice versa. And my mom was saying, I really miss your daddy because I missed that time we had in the kitchen when he would do all the prep work. So the little things you take for granted over the years, when that person is now missing, it leaves a very giant hole. But what we have in our minds and have in our hearts is the memories that keep them alive as we move forward in our own lives.
Okay, so let's put this in reverse for a minute. Now, you're talking about, and I'm going right to you, Professor, but I'm going back to what Buck said in reference is what's happening between these rappers is because there is no father in their lives. I understand the drug use and the abuse and everything, but what are they losing at the point, going back to what Chris just said, of not having something to land? She goes back and talks about the husband chopping up the carrots and doing all the stuff, and somebody else is doing this in the kitchen and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. What's going on that we're at this level, that this faith that Ron started off that we should be having, that the professor is alluding that's missing, and you're saying that these guys are drug intense? Where are we losing the battle?
Man, I don't know, but this drug thing ain't new,
right?
I mean,
it's really bad. I think
it's always been bad.
Charlie Parker, Billie Holiday.
It's always been
Marvin Gaye, Reggie Miles. You can go down the list.
Mike Love, I ain't gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
You can get drug use is nothing new, but why do they put you on drugs? That's the question.
I don't think they're putting anybody on drugs. It's a choice.
The reason why they present them with the drugs is because they know they can get that money back that they invest in them.
Right. Control.
Yeah. That's why they make them addicted. That's why. And then they don't have anybody around them, you understand, to help balance them. See, the one thing, and this has happened to all of us young men. At one point, our scale was not balanced, where we thought we were both chicken and the egg, and that we all knew it all. That's a phase that all young men go through. If you get to be an old man, let me say that one more time. If you get to be an old man, You were once an arrogant SOB and you knew everything.
I thought I
And
used to
the
know everything, right,
way,
Mike?
and the only way that you got balanced is somebody pulled you to the side and say, "Little brother, let me put this on you." And a lot of times they will keep that away from this star. They don't want nobody to tell them the truth. They want them on that road to self-destruction because they've set up the contract to where it, you know, well, they can still make money after they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I don't agree with that because that's like killing the goose that laid the golden egg. That's
They
kinda
did it
silly.
to Michael Jackson.
They did it to everybody. They did it to everybody. Look, can I ask a question? Chris, can LT get the
I was
link
just thinking,
from
give
you?
it a thing. I was just
Yeah,
thinking the same
because
thing.
you
You
know
better stop
LT
thinking my damn thoughts. Yeah, send her the
LT
damn.
been in the business a long time. She's been in
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
see
been
if she
around a
can
long
send her the
time.
link. I was
Yeah.
just thinking the same thing. Send her the link,
Yes,
Chris.
and let her come on in and comment because she's making some powerful comments.
Yeah.
But I want to back up what Professor was just saying. In the entertainment industry, including myself in that, we all had to survive off of the use of drugs.
At some point. Yeah.
Okay. Because when you're out there working day after day, chitlin circuit, night after night, traveling all through the night, trying to get to your next gig the next day.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hold that thought 1 second, Dr. Ron. Everybody see right there, that is the link to get into the show right now, whether it's Leslie, LT, or anybody else. Yeah, you see the link right there. Make it do what it do. Now continue, Dr. Brown. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so they had people on tour that was their position and job was to keep the bag. So everybody had money because we was working. So when payday, this guy would take care of everybody's needs no matter what they were. And I'm being totally transparent. Okay. So from the star all the way to the guy who's, the stage hands, everybody was on something. And we all had to recover from an overdose or abuse of drugs at some point in time. But it's been in the industry forever. Okay. And some people have whether it was alcohol or chemical substance or what they, weed, whatever it was, and it was a form of manipulation because the guys that kept us out there working, they didn't never want to see us stop.
Chris, your mic
is muted.
About that, yeah, I got family back here, and I don't like hearing them cussing in the background. So LT, you're in the house. How you doing, LT?
What's up, baby girl?
Hey. Y'all killing me tonight.
Hey, LT, do us a favor. Turn your phone on the side.
Oh, there we go. Hi.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey.
Y'all killing me tonight. I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe it's because of how I was raised, because I came up in a 2-parent household, and I totally understand the concept of having 2 parents in the household, and I raised my kids the exact same way. The way me and my husband now, who's deceased, but when we were raising our children prior to us getting married, I made it abundantly clear. I didn't care, truthfully speaking, I didn't care if you married me or not, but your ass wasn't going to raise your kids in 2 different homes, period. And I meant that with everything in me. It makes a big difference because I only have 1 son. And I knew what it meant for a son to have a father in the home, period. Yes, I'm a daddy's girl, all of that. But at the end of the day, all of this goes back to the home. It goes to the home. And when your home is at a disadvantage and unbalanced, it's never going to be right. I don't care how many father figures, mother figures, grandma, auntie, mama, daddy, all that. It doesn't matter how many of those you have. If the house isn't balanced, it's going to fall.
But how are we making them stars? Because these unbalanced people are our stars of today.
Well, you know what's interesting? Everybody has a talent, whatever that talent may be. And talent is always exploited, especially in the Black community.
Mm.
Talent, everybody has a talent. You are born with a talent. I have several. However, every person, including you five, are born with a talent. And all talents get exploited.
Some
And
of us more than others, right,
if
Ron?
that talent is exploited by someone other than of your own, you'll never win.
Mhm.
You will never win. We have always been exploited as Blacks. My husband used to say, and I put it in the chat, my husband used to say that Black people are always thought of as a commodity, just like pork and orange juice on
Yep.
New York Stock Exchange.
Now, you just took this whole conversation 360 back to what we were talking about, slave or trading African Americans to get on Portuguese boats to come help Christopher Columbus discover. I mean, you just did a 360.
Yeah. It all connects together. Everything, all of it connects together. We will never win. We will never win if we don't learn how to get along with each other.
LT, when Chris first put up the link, I was like, "Oh no, Chris, don't put up the link." I'm so glad he did. I'm so glad you're on.
So look, LT, would you mind sharing with everybody that's listening your background a little bit, because you've been around a long time too now.
I've been around a long time. I was an intern. I came up through Columbia College. As we know, master teacher is Chris. Chris used to be my teacher in school. And I was in his talk radio class, which prior to that, I had already been an intern in radio. So I just went through the formality to get the degree and blah, blah, blah. But in essence, I've been in entertainment since I was 13. I started out as a DJ. My dad was a cop. And he used to take me to all the local bars and all that stuff. And that's how I made my money. So, you know, I've never done anything illegal to make my money. I've always used my talent to make money. So that's why I say everybody has a talent. Everybody has a talent, but I've been around for a long time. I keep a very low profile.
Why do these kids want to do harm to each other? Why are they being manipulated at this level that they want to stab each other and take each other out when they all have opportunities for success?
Truthfully speaking, everything and what I've learned being a 53-year-old mother of 3 millennials is right now it's all about the technology. Everybody and their mama is watching technology, including us as the older generation, as I call it. Everything is for the show. Who can get this amount of that? Who can get these many views on YouTube and, you know, all that kind of stuff. That's really what it's all about. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of. Excuse my French. It's the dumbest mess I've ever heard of. It's the stupidest thing ever.
Also, let me bring into the table, who also was commenting in the comment section. I want to bring forth Gus.
I've ever heard of.
Hey Gus, you gotta turn your radio down or something like that, or put your earphones on.
Okay. Can you hear
Gus,
me?
Gus, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, you're getting feedback, Gus. You gotta
I don't have earphones, so now I can't hear you. But I enjoy your show format, and I think something that perhaps maybe all of you could take a look at. It's a thing called feudalism, and it really explains what is happening right now. Feudalism is based off the premise that the person who is the landowner, he is in control. He is Lord. They called him Lord whatever. And his power was really mounted to the amount of subjects that he had in his land. Okay. And you were right in your assessment that early on, when people left England, they left England for a specific reason. They couldn't stand what King George was doing to them. But guess what they did? They did the exact same thing. They created what they ran away from. They created their own King George. And then what they did is they took the Indians, or whoever the natives of that land were, and they tricked them. They used chicanery. They actually made slaves out of the Indians. And you heard that old thing that says that we should have never let the white man drink. Oh, excuse me, with something else. But, you know, and the problem with with this here feudal thought is this: it does not recognize common humanity. You don't exist. You're only a part of who's going to profitize from it. Here in the United States, there's a thing called plutocratic control. This is where the rich people, the people of high prominence, take their money and influence decision-making that's going to benefit them.
Aristocracy,
so
right.
And I said it in the comments. Well, when you talk about power, power is designed definitively as the ability to do work. So the question is, who's doing the work? It's us, John Q. Public. It's black and brown people together. And it just happened to me just recently, because I'm going through some struggles because of a few illnesses that I'm having. And when I get together and I talk to doctors and hospitals, these doctors are creating a bad situation for us, because the medicines that they prescribe, they're doing it on purpose and they're addictive. And the reason they're doing that is because the plutocratic control, the people with the money, are forcing them to have them get more money from what they're doing. So when you get medicines like fentanyl and all these other things, you're stuck because it's going to lead and escalate into other areas. So now, how are they hurting us? As a people, we're dependent on this stuff, because if you're sick, you need the medicine to get well. So what are you going to do when you go to the medicine, you go to the drugstore and you get it? The druggist is saying, yeah, you need this, but does it have addictive qualities? You bet your sweet you know it does. So now what do we need to do? We need to level with each other and say, hey, you know what? We got to take control of our society. This belongs to us here. Me, you, there's no difference from us. And if you really want to know where this thought is, all of you need some time to do in your life. Get together with another friend. You both close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and now open them. You both breathe the same air. So what makes you different from that person that breathed the same air? We all started out on an assembly line. And this assembly line produced this thing called man. Now, all of the organs, everything inside is basically the same, exactly the same. The only difference is at the end of the line, there was an add-on, the outer cover, the exterior. So when you see someone who's not operating properly, maybe their inners are working good, but maybe the use of how they were designed is not properly understood. And this is what we have to do. I apologize, gentlemen, for my electronic stuff. I tried this before, and I'm in the dark ages, so to speak. I'm trying to do things, and I like commenting with you fellas, and I want to thank all of you for listening to me. But being a senior citizen in my 70s, I'm kind of really feeling a little kind of dumbfounded. I like what you guys are saying. I really agree with everything, but we really have to address the major problem, okay? Everything you can think of is commercialized. I don't care what it is. If it's religion,
absolutely,
if it's food, you name it.
That's what capitalism is.
And we have to identify who's making these profits off of us. And then unless we do that, we're not going to get anywhere. We're going to argue with each other. We can't unite. We can't get together and say, hey, you know what? Yes, I am my brethren's.
Good night.
My brother's keeper. You bet your sweet you know what? Because we have to learn to get along. And if we can't get along, we're going to fall. This is why the Romans, the Greeks, everybody failed, because they couldn't unite to help each other. They don't want to, because they're allowing someone who makes decisions. And we got to find out who those decision makers are and start bringing them up on the carpet so that we can go after them. Thank you so much, everyone.
Well, thank you, Gus.
Thank you, Gus.
And let me say this about Gus, because Gus comes on my Baseline show on Fridays at 4 p.m. Gus is one of those people, as you just heard, just brings it. And there's nothing wrong with experience and being wealthy from experience. And this is when we need time to sit down and talk to people who are older than us, who've been walking the earth longer, like, Kane and Kung Fu always say. When you listen, you learn. You walk away with something. And especially when people who are able to take you on that journey with you by telling the story. When they're able to hold your hand and say, this is what happened to me, I don't want it to happen to you. And I had to give Gus credit. Gus is one of those people that I always look forward to him in the comment section when I do my baseline show. Give him a special shout out. Happy holidays to him and his family. Now, real quick, I got a shout out to my girl LT, the grasshopper, in my life. A fantastic student when she was at Columbia, light years ahead of her time. Teaching someone like LT was always easy. You had to repeat yourself. She got on the first try. And as a teacher and instructor, you become very protective. So LT could probably tell it better than I do. I just remember being pissed off. LT, real quick, just to let everybody know a gleam about what kind of person you are and what you went through. Did you go through some crap at a radio station and you told me about it during that time?
Yeah, I did.
Relay the crap that you were going through.
I'd rather not. I'd rather not relive that horror moment.
Okay, I'll just gloss over it. Whatever it was some bullshit that she was going over that was not fair. And I told her, stop what you're doing. You're not learning anything over there. Quit and go somewhere else. And
I did.
And look, it's one of those things where you feel proud of someone because you were able to have some input in their life. Because once again, someone like a talent, like someone like an LT, when we were coming up, you see the talent in that student. Your job is to cultivate said talent and make them feel secure in their own right. And LT, I love you more.
I know.
I'm extremely proud.
I love you guys too. I'm on as often as possible. But before I head out of here, I got to start my dinner. But I know my grandmother told me when I was really, really small, she said, if you ever want to know the absolute truth, ask a child under 7. Because they don't know.
Nice.
They don't know 90% of this crap that we go through as teens, young adults, older folks. If you want to get the absolute truth, ask somebody under 7, because they don't know how to lie.
Yeah.
They don't know. They're not equipped with that. And I've always, I used to substitute kindergarten, and I used to always watch my kids, and it's the absolute truth. All they want to do is play. They come out loving. And we were talking about love in the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm.
They come into the world loving. They don't know any different until it's taught to them. They don't know any of that. So we have to learn how to go backwards and really kind of look at how our lives are shaped. Can you just think about it? A child hears the word no probably 50,000 times by the time they turn 5. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing, depending on the situation?
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that sticks with them. Let them touch the stove long enough. They'll learn that sucker's hot. They'll learn it on their own. But to be truthfully honest, if you really want to know what the problem is, we have to go backwards and see what our home life was like. I know what my home life was like. Yeah, I grew up in the ghetto, but I am not. I was born in the ghetto. I'm not of the ghetto, and you cannot take me there.
All right now.
I don't claim that. That's not something that I claim.
Yeah.
But I will tell you about yourself, but that doesn't make me ghetto.
I know
that
that's
just makes me smart enough to tell you to get the hell out of my face.
There you go.
There's two different things.
Yes,
we don't have to be a product of our environment. That's why I say that's bull mess. Mm-hmm. I think that's the dumbest statement ever. Whoever created that, they're dumb as fuck. Excuse me.
All right.
I just think it's dumb because everybody that doesn't apply to everybody. I grew up at 6451 South Eberhard, so that's Kenwood all day.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like that, and everything always falls back to the home. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything falls back.
Now, LT used to come visit me on my show, so you welcome back, baby. I just want to tell you that. You ain't got you ain't got to avoid me now. I don't know what I said, but you can come on back.
Oh, it's all good. I'm just very, very busy.
LT, don't do it.
Yeah,
I'm very busy, but I have to
do
give you guys the.
You see what he did? You see what he did, Chris? I mean, he hit her with the baby. Come on, back. He softened his
Chris
voice.
and Ron are like.
I guess one.
We lost your voice. There you go. It keeps going on.
Yeah, take it off mute, LT.
Yeah, you got your microphone muted.
Right. Almost got the good part.
Yeah, I'm like,
Man,
wait a minute.
She was spilling it.
Uh-oh,
Yeah.
she turned it off.
Oh man, maybe she'll come back.
She'll come back.
Okay.
She'll come back.
Yeah, I caught that. I caught that, Mike. Yeah, you saw what Ron was doing. You got,
you know, God, I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, he done went, hey, baby, you know, come on back to the show.
Come on, he was dry begging. That's what we call dry begging.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he was dry begging. Yeah, come on, baby.
Hey, that was an example of universal love. What can I say?
Oh,
dropped that octave and went into the very white.
Like he was trying to get some. It's like, damn.
No, LT is cool. She is truly cool. You know, I met her.
She know, right?
Yeah, she
she gets
you
it.
know, yeah, she's been around for a while. And I ran into her at various radio stations, different stuff that she was doing. And, you know, we stayed in touch over time, you know. So when she pops in, I always, you know, try to shout her out. So she is truly a supporter, you know, and she's right, you know, in what she's saying. You know, it does go back to what a person has been exposed to. But like what we were saying, you know, Professor and I, this been around, you know, this abuse by, you know, the entities that have always profited off of our work. Okay. They've abused us for many, 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 many decades.
Okay, hold that thought. LT is back.
Okay.
Sorry, y'all. My daughter called like as if I didn't know she was gone. But, you know, I mean,
hold on, Bass. In the private chat, I put a link up in there for the lecture by Dr. John Henry Clark.
Okay, thank you for telling me. I'll check it out. Put it on the copy link. Okay.
Sorry about that, you guys. I have to give you guys credit because I've been around a long time and I pay attention to conversations that people talk about, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And you all hit all the topics like in every corner until it gets to the middle core, until you guys come to a common ground before you end your show. And that's one of the things I love about you five is you figure out a way to make everything relative to those that follow.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Thank you.
I know you guys have your own internal beef or whatever, but and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of friendly competition. I know he's really pointing to the guy in the bottom right.
It's all an act. But let me say this. You know, we work as a diversity team. We're trying to bring diversity to broadcasting, to the media business. You know, we have an educator here with the professor, and you know, we've had, you know, guys like myself and Chris who have infiltrated the pop stations and that line of communications. You know, Ron is very vast in community and in marketing and in radio, and the same thing with Buck Wild. Who's been very versed in understanding the imaging and what marketing looks like from a digital aspect. And, you know, we all play different pieces in the game. And the thing of it is, we never, out of all the stuff we do, there's never enough of our voices to be heard.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah, and you can't look, and you can't leave the legend out of that now when he decides to come to work.
When he decides to come back, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is, you know, we're in a time where we have to do things one thing at a time.
Absolutely.
One thing at a time. And once we perfect, not master, once we perfect that one thing, then that one thing can be transitioned out to the next person who will make that a master. But it's not your job to be the master.
Right. But see, the thing that we're trying, the trick here that a lot of people don't get is that we can all have an opinion together.
Exactly.
See, a lot of times, especially for us as African Americans, let's just call a spade, no pun intended. You know, we get in situations and I'm afraid of Ron. Ron's afraid of Chris. Chris afraid of Buck. Buck's afraid of the professor. Lee's afraid of Mike. We're trying to show you that we don't all have to have the same opinion. We can all be friends. We talk to each other on and off the video and the mic. And some of us have worked together like Buck and ourselves. We've been in major markets. We're not afraid of each other. That's why
I can tell that. I can tell that. But you need somebody who's not afraid of either one of you.
Yeah, you shouldn't be afraid of it. I mean, it's a power of respect. I respect Ron. I respect Reggie. I respect Chris, Lee, Buck. See, if I don't respect them, I can't work with them.
I agree with you.
That's why we're all here. Yeah, we don't care about what each other does privately or what the other person thinks. We never put any energy into that. Whatever Reggie says he does, we don't give a F you.
Or rat's patoot.
Yeah.
And we don't care about any of the women that Ron has locked up in his basement at all.
Yeah.
I told you at the beginning of the show, they like that fetish stuff. Santa Claus, dresses, and all.
Why you get him started, Bob?
Yeah, because it goes LT, it goes back earlier. Hey, baby, come back. And it wasn't just us. I mean, man, look, his voice got deeper than mine. This is what Jed typed. We heard it too. Sorry, Doc. Jed just typed in the comment section.
But I'm gonna be really honest with you. What has sustained me in what I do, and I no longer work in the industry. Right. I do something totally different. I took my talents and turned it into other things.
Good for you.
But what has sustained me is the fact that I've never, when I say never, ever burned a bridge. I learned early on. I keep my Rolodex very, very close.
Good for you.
I don't even pull it out. Half the time, most people wouldn't even know if I'm going through something. Like I just lost 4 relatives within a year and some change.
So sorry.
If you don't know me personally, you would never know that. And
that's okay. They don't need to know that about you.
Exactly.
What they need to know.
I keep everything personal because some things you just can't help me with.
That's right.
I tell people just pray for me from a distance, but don't PREY me.
Right. Exactly.
Pray for me, but don't pray at me or for me. You know what I mean? Don't come for me. Don't come for me unless I ask you.
Oh my.
Because
do you see how you express yourself?
Yeah.
That says that you're always going to be a part of the business. So don't ever say, you may not be active.
Yeah.
But once you learn it, you learn how to have a conversation, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Learning how to have a conversation.
Yeah. I learned from some of the best in the business. I have to admit, I appreciate all of them. I came up under Al Parker before he passed, Richard Peggy before he passed, a little bit of Herb Kent before he passed. And, a lot of my influences are there either older than me or maybe around my age.
We hear it.
Rick Party, me and Rick Party are super close. I love him like a brother. Like I've learned a lot from people that were on my same level. You're never too old or too young to learn.
Well, Ron, I don't know.
I don't know. Ron, we might have to talk about him. We might have to just like cut his top of head off and pour it in so he can get it out.
What y'all trying to say now?
No, truthfully speaking, Ron, honestly, I know they get on you all the time, and I hear it when I listen to the show. They get on you all the time. But at the end of the day, you have your views. Chris has his. Everybody has their own views, but like I said, at the end of the day, before your show ends, you always manage to come to the nucleus, which is the center, and it always comes together, and that's where the way it should be.
You know me, baby.
Almost that time too. Only got 15 minutes now.
I got to y'all something else, but I love what you guys do, and that's why I always try to chime in as often as I can, so I can catch what you're talking about.
Thank you.
And just share and just keep sharing the knowledge. Just I'm in a sorority, and the way I look at how I do things is, well, let me start this.
What secret society you in? What secret society you in?
I'm a Sigma Gamma Rho, sir.
Oh, you in the blue and white?
I'm in blue and gold, sir. Get it right.
Blue and gold. Yeah, I knew one of them.
Yes. And the way I do things,
they all came from where I used to teach at.
My parents were community service. My mother was a teacher. My dad was a cop. So, that's community all day. And that's how I grew up. I was in the military for 15 years. I did all of that. And at the very end of the day, what's in me is community service. And how I do things as a member of Sigma Gamma Rho. I'm one of several. But if I help one person change their life, change their thought, do something different than what they haven't done to get to another place, I've done my job.
Absolutely.
You must have got it coming up, didn't you?
Yeah,
Dad's
I
a
did.
cop. Oh, mother's a teacher.
Yeah, I
Woo,
did.
they was riding you
At
like
my
crazy.
school, no doubt.
They was riding you.
Oh
we
wow!
know.
At your school
At
on
my
top of that?
school, yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
God!
We know what you went through.
So I got to tell a story. Let me see. Yeah, we almost getting close. So I got to tell a story. All right. So we was talking about, having bad times. So in my bad time, in my worst of time in my life, it was my best friend, and God rest his soul. He pulled me out of it. And when he saw what I was dealing with, and I had went on a binge, I was gone for about 5, 6, 7 days. So I let him find me. And when he found me, he came in the room and he started crying. And he said, Reggie, you can't do this. He said, you could do anything else. He said, but Reggie, you can't do this. You can't do this. And I touched his face and I felt the tear. And ever since then, I never smoked. I wasn't getting high. I wasn't doing none of that stuff.
Wow.
Because my partner reached out for me. He was my manager. He took care of me, but he saw me. He said, Reggie, you can't do this. He said, you can't do this. So in going back to you, Buck, and going back to all of us, there's somebody that's when we going through these kind of things, and we've all had our little issues, somebody got to reach and come and get you.
That's right.
Like LT said, somebody got to reach back and get you. Somebody got to reach back. So my partner, he reached back and got me. And I've been straight ever since.
And missing out.
That's awesome. Because I come up through each one teach one era.
I'm not mad at that.
I come up through that. And it was interesting that, I was having a conversation with a friend today, and I was telling her, I'm 53 years old. I'll be 54 in May. And I still have my whole entire village still alive.
Amen.
All right now.
You're a
At
Taurus?
53 years old, when
You're
I lost
Taurus?
both of my sisters, they're older than me. All of them, this phone would not stop ringing. And they were all friends and, buddies of my siblings. They saw me before I even got here on this planet. So I still have my village right today.
Wow, that's a blessing.
So you're a Taurus?
I am all day.
I knew you were cool. I love Tauruses. They're the best.
I am. And I love that. I love that because, I'm the baby sis of 6. I have a younger brother. And it's just amazing that when my mom passed, my village was still there. And it's like all of them are they're there, whether I talk to them on a daily or monthly, yearly, or whatever or not. I know that if I ever get to a point where I need that sound advice, that I could call probably any one of 100 people, and they'll have my back. Everybody can't have that. They don't have that.
Rite of passage.
And they can't even say they have it.
Rite of passage. Getting a hookup from an elder, always. You can't.
And when I talk to young ladies, that's the first thing I talk to them about. I work for the state. I can't tell you who I work for, but I work for the state of Illinois. I talked to one of my clients today, and she was on the phone just bawling, and I had to come out of my work mode and go into Leslie mode. I said, "Look, let me explain something to you. Whatever you got going on with you and Mr. Whoever, I'm gonna need you to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You have to. You can't depend on what so-and-so is going to do. You can't control them, but you can control you."
Amen.
I tell people that all the time. Yeah.
You can control you. You can't control somebody else. Trying to control somebody else, you're going to fail every time.
Nope.
Yeah. And, going full circle in the conversation, what we were talking about earlier, what's needed, what LT just described is exactly what's needed. People need support systems.
Yes.
They need networks. They need, whether it's from family or connection like family, because sometimes your family can be, you know, contaminating,
Yeah,
you know, and
That's a
and
good word.
and you know, well, yeah,
that's
because
a good
they
word to use for it, but that's not
yeah.
what I would have said.
but if you have that network, you know, and when you add to the network, you got to make sure that it's like kind, capillary attraction. Okay, there's a scientific term for like kind, each one seeking its own kind. Like if you put a match on one end of a piece of paper, it's going to try to find the other end of the piece of paper where the fire is at, because they're the same. They're going to join. They're drawn to each other. The same thing with a drop of water. If you put a drop of water and another drop of water, they're going to try to find each other, and they're going to join forces, and they're going to be a bigger drop of water. You know, that is what capillary attraction is all about. So when you find your other connected part, then you all can work together to support one another. And that's what's missing with the self part, Reggie. You say, what, you know, when you look in the mirror and all you see is yourself, you know, and you don't know what the problem is and how to fix it, well, then you need some more fire. You need some more like you know, to come together with you to help you find that love. Okay?
I mean, I got you, but even coming, you got to sift through the pages on that.
Yep.
It's so much, it's so much mental anguish, so much dis-ease among us within ourselves. We got to wash the walls down and straighten that stuff out before we even get to focus on the purity of what the love is all about. I'm telling you, it's some wrinkles that has to be ironed out, and it ain't gonna be just that easy.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's a start. You got to start somewhere.
How is it that a farmer can maintain his or her land, and at the very end of the season burn it and still use the same space? I'm just saying.
I don't know anything about farming, but I'm sure that's a good answer.
That's what farmers do. They tend their land, they till it, do whatever they do.
Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah. And there's a scientific reason for that too. So when you are burning the land, the nitrates from the burn goes back into the soil. So now you're enriching the soil and preparing it for the next time you decide to plant something. And generally, farmers rotate their crops.
Exactly.
You know, they don't put the same thing in the earth that they just harvested.
No.
But you have to put nutrients back into the earth in order to keep it from being nutrient depleted or deficient.
Correct.
So, and that's how they do that. So they do a burn. It's a controlled burn. Exactly. And they burn it. And then sometimes they'll burn it 2 or 3 years, because if they overwork the soil,
it's no good.
If you overwork the soil,
it's no good.
You can't get nothing out of it. Won't nothing grow there.
Ron,
nothing to grow.
How do you know all this about farming, Ron?
Because I am Dr. Ron, damn it.
Oh Lord!
Oh, and on that note, on that note, don't say no more. Don't come behind that.
But think about it.
Don't come behind that.
Farming all that food and eating it.
Really think about that, though. How is it that a farmer can do that to their land? They're using the same. We're talking about the same space over and over and over again, and they manage to get a harvest. Because this is what has to be done. And sometimes you have to burn all that was before in order to get the new to come up.
That's right.
You have to.
You got to put something into the earth in order to make it do what it's supposed to do. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I never thought about that.
No, it's all great. Always fantastic knowledge that's on this program. LT, thank you so much for your contribution. You are the best. And once again, shout out to Gus for coming on earlier. Thank you so much. Love you more. Happy
too.
holidays to you and your family, LT.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas
Merry
to you. Take
Christmas.
care.
Bye.
Yeah, I go to the grocery store. That's why I don't know about all the farming stuff.
That's true. So we got about 5 minutes left in the program. We're going to go around the table. Everybody last words. We'll start with Dr. Waterbed. I'm sorry, Dr. Ron Ford.
Well, this was a wonderful holiday show. I want to say thank you to everybody that chimed in and had something to contribute to the show. I just want to say I hope you have a blessed and peaceful holiday season. And I tell you, in my family, when we was coming up, what made it a good holiday, if nobody went to jail and nobody died, that's a good holiday. So I hope y'all have a good holiday. Peace.
All right, Mr. Mike Love.
I had the same sentiments as Ron. The thing of it is we can't take care of everybody else's needs without taking care of our own. And I just want to wish everybody out there a happy holiday. Take some time to rest. One of the things I've had 3 or 4 invites from people wanting me to come over and what are you doing? And I'm not doing SHIT.
What does that spell?
I'm resting.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm not doing anything, but I do have a quick question before we get out of here.
Yeah, sure.
What happened with the case with the Dante Wright? I understand that they found the police officer guilty. I was going to bring that up for us, a quick conversation. She's going to jail. What kind of time is she looking at?
They don't know yet.
That's
They
we
said
didn't
life.
talk about no current events at all.
Yeah, they said life. They said life.
said
She
life?
they said she may get life. Yeah.
Wow. All right, we'll talk about it next week on the show.
Absolutely, Professor.
Oh, again,
yeah.
This was a wonderful show. Happy holidays to everybody. I just want to send a special. I just want to send a special caring prayer to everyone that has lost a loved one at this time. Because this time is really the hardest time to really go through and have have memories of that someone that you lost, especially the ladies that have maybe lost a child and things like, and even the fathers, and just, I lost a child. My son transitioned 6 years ago, and the holidays just don't seem the same anymore. So I want to keep everybody, that have, going through any type of bereavement up in prayer. And thank you all so much for just being with us. And I really enjoyed this show today.
And a buck wild.
I'm in an unusual position. I'm single, no kids, and I live far away from my family. And so, the holidays are a little bit tough for people like me, for not being able to go home. And I probably could have gone home this time, but I'm just a little nervous because my mom is 93 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I'm kind of scared I'm going to catch coronavirus on the plane or whatever. And I'm vaccinated. She's vaccinated too, but she's not at that age. You just never know. I don't want to go back and give her anything. So anyway, my point being is that I just want to shout out to everyone who's away from their family this time of year. And I just pray that you're not the type that gets lonely, that you're okay being by yourself, and that's okay, because I'm the kind of person, I'm okay being by myself. I don't really get lonely, usually somebody invites me over or whatever, and if I do get invited over, I'll go. And because it's always nice being around people who thought enough of you, at least care about you enough to want you around their family, be a part of their family during the holidays. But yeah, if you're away from your family, just hang in there. It's okay. Call them. That's what I do. I'll call. I Skype with my mom all the time, and you don't have to necessarily be in their presence in order to be with them for the holidays. That's all.
Absolutely, great
Was that
words.
long? That was long as hell.
No. That was cool,
Trying
man.
to be long.
No. That was fantastic. No, because everybody can relate to that when it comes to family and the importance of. And I'm the same way. Nothing like family. As you hear my family talking in the background. So I love my family, even though, hey, it's one of those things where you get a chance to be the embodiment of the foundation of where you come from. I want to give a special shout out to my daughter, Brianni, who will be 32, a Christmas Eve baby. So she's here flying in. She's going to be with her friends later on and be with family. So family always comes first. And also with the birth of my grandson, Emery, there's a future that I never thought was there from that perspective, but God is good.
All the time.
All the time. Exactly. And it is more than a notion, and to help celebrate my first grandson's Christmas holiday, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And of course, happy holidays to my colleagues on the panel, as always, for this moment in time. Always good stuff. So for those of you out there who celebrate the holidays, please enjoy yourself. As the I wouldn't say, I call him a philosopher of cartoon back in the day of Looney Tunes, Elmer Fudd. Get some West and we like station that West. So you
okay?
All right. Yes.
And happy holidays, Merry Christmas to our fearless leader, Lee Michaels, who's not
Thank
here.
you.
Hopefully he'll be back soon.
Absolutely. We can't do this without it. We do it, but there's always a missing hole because our fearless leader is not here. So
and we love him to death.
Love him more, absolutely. Yeah. For all of you out there, enjoy the holiday season. For Dr. Ron Ford, for Professor Reggie Miles, for Mr. Mike Love, and Mr. Buck Wild. Enjoy the holiday season. Continue to be peaceful, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Black Power.
Holla.
Yeah, that's right.